We'll double our transaction. We doubled our transaction count last year, and we also will probably triple or quadruple this year based on the amount of hires and based on the progression that we have. It is not as crazy as it sounds, but it most certainly requires some change and some massive action. Okay. So going into this, the first thing that we're going to talk about is one, you got to reschedule, you got to restructure your schedule. Okay. What most people end up, you got to restructure your schedule to be efficient. So the first thing that you want to do, and I'll show you my calendar. Go ahead and share. All right. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to restructure your calendar so that you have the right activities. Okay. If you want to double your sales, you want to restructure your calendar to focus on the most important activities. Now, most trainers, most gurus, when they say, restructure it for the most important activities, they immediately go to prospecting, right? Prospecting, prospecting, prospecting. I say go right to family time and places that are going to keep you from burning out. Because I've been there where you work all day, every day, and you burn out, and then you have these big pushes and then these slow times. And, so when you go to my schedule, I got to coach my son's hockey practice on Monday. I got to make sure I play video games with this always cracks up people around me too. They're like, you have video games on your schedule? Yeah, you know what? It's important that my 11-year-old doesn't feel like I love him more or less because my other son gets scheduled time every week. So he gets scheduled time every week. And when I said, what do you want to do with me? He says, I want to play video games, which is cool because I like video games. It gives me an excuse to be my inner kid, right? Great. I love it. My coach can't even argue with me. You're playing video games on a Tuesday? Yeah, family time's important, bro. Meanwhile, I'm just nerding out. I got to be on Taekwondo Thursday at 6 to 8:30, right? By the way, this super important meeting, guess what I'm doing here?
Taking your life to do.
Playing ice hockey because I need to have some Josh time, right? And that's my own little personal joke, right? People say, how are you so busy? How are you doing this? Well, if you get really efficient with your time, it's crazy what you can actually get done. And I'm always trying to get more efficient, right? We'll talk a little bit more about that. But the first thing I do is I go in there and I block out the times that, like, if I don't get one little 2-hour block for just me, like I start to get a little bitter. I'm not gonna lie. I start to get a little, I'm a pretty selfless person, but if I don't get at least one thing that I really enjoy doing and I can look forward towards at the end of the week that's just for me, that's really fun, I start to get a little selfish. And so this helps me even when I'm really busy to get there. And then my kids, if I get one day a week with my kids where they get their own personal time, they can manage pretty well, right? Plus, I'm home every night for dinner type of thing, right? Sundays, I block that out for me. If I have an emergency, I'll take care of it. But as we know, there are no emergencies in real estate. Then for my schedule, then you go to the most important things, right? So I've always been a fan of prospecting in the morning, right? When I was in production, my 8 to 10 o'clock hour was like that was that was like church, you just can't miss that. And the reason why I did that is because I found that was the easiest time for me to protect. What's up, Tony? So, by 8 o'clock, escrow's not open. And if they are, they're not doing anything. Mortgage isn't open. The clients are, getting the kids to school. Like it's a very easy time to protect. And it's a very good time where my energy, like I can, by 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, I tried to prospect at night. By 4, 5, 6 o'clock, they're getting a watered down, less efficient version of Josh. So, somebody might say, well, I'm really energetic from the 4 to 6 hour. That's cool. If you're going to do it, do it. But also, that's when clients want to look at properties. That's when clients are off work, right? And so then what happens is it was a constant juggle of all right, well, I got a prospect today, but this client wants to go see a property. And I don't know about you, but if somebody wants to go see a home and possibly buy it, or the other option is for me to tell them no and do cold calling, I'm weak. I'm like, well, let's go see that home, baby. I'm weak. Right? Same thing with a listing appointment. If I could choose to do a listing appointment at 4 o'clock or make cold calls, people are like, Josh, you're disciplined. I'm like, you should see me when I got money on the table. Nope, I won't prospect nothing. So I found for me, the best time is 8 to 10. Now, one of the things that sucks about 8 to 10 is guess what? Can't drink at night on prospecting days. Got to get up early. Got to get yourself energetic and fired up. You got to have good mornings all the time. But I kind of liked it. I looked at it, well, on a positive note, it forces me to get positive every day. I kind of like that accountability. I kind of like that discipline. And, the week, limiting belief, Josh, I don't want to wake up every day and prospect. You know what, though? If you do that consistently, your business is going to grow. If you do it consistently, your business is going to grow. Hey, Hannah, welcome. So for me, the 8 to 10 hour, when I would restructure my schedule, the 8 to 10 was always that one that I could protect. I could get in there. I could block my phone. I could get my dials done. I get my appointment. And then, by the way, the pressure of growing the business just came off me. 10 o'clock, I'd have, my meetings, or I'd have my email follow up, or I'd have these other little tasks. I'd knock those out. I'd get into lunch, and then I'd have client activities. Prospecting on weekends, by the way, it's not very, what I think the problem with weekends is the world has told you that weekends are for relaxing. You work weekends? Ugh, that sounds horrible, right? They're just days. Sundays are sacred to me, right? Biblically, that's a sacred day. But like Saturdays, I'll tell you this much. Saturday's a phenomenal day as a realtor to prospect. Your clients are in a way better mood. They're way more relaxed. Their guard is way down. Your competition, most of them are not prospecting, so they're getting less calls. Your future clients, because their mindset is weekends are for relaxing, they think you're one of the hardest workers on the planet because you're on a Saturday working. There's a massive amount of value in Saturdays and working. Sundays make your call, but the bottom line is you need to get into a place like, is anybody here selling more than 20 homes a year? Everybody's probably in that, 6 to 10 range, maybe. Okay. So if you're in that 6 to 10 range and you want to double your business, the first thing you got to do, other than protect your personal high priority family time, like we discussed, right? And this is the beautiful part about real estate, by the way. You can have your nights. You can, if you block your nights and you get your prospecting done, you can have it, because guess what? If you set 2 appointments a week, if you sit down with 2 new potential clients a week, you will double your business. Now, for some of you guys, that may sound like a really big pressure thing. I've never set 2 appointments in a week, or 2 appointments ever. I've never set 8 appointments. Ryan Adams comes into my organization and I say, the goal is 5. And he felt like a lot of pressure. 5 appointments in a week, that's an appointment every day to find an agent. I said, I know. I said, but you're capable of way more. One person, there's 20,000 real estate agents in our market. One person that doesn't like their broker, I promise you there's more. I promise you there's a lot of them, right? We just gotta call them. Now he does 5. He does 5 in a few days. Now he gets 7 or 8 or 9 sometimes. What's your record?
Like 8 or 9, yeah.
Yeah. Right? And in the beginning, it sounds like pressure, but then it becomes a game. What's your record in a day? 4?
Yeah, like 4 or 5.
4 or 5 in one day. So now 5 is easy. If you can get to 2 appointments a week, which I know you can have this really cool mindset. Now it's a process though, and I'm just going to highlight it. First, you get to 2 appointments. First, you get to 2 appointments, but they don't all show up. Don't worry about that. Trust me, don't worry about that. Just keep setting appointments and keep getting better at delivering value. They will show up. Then you'll get 2 appointments that'll sit down, but you're not getting the 2 home sales. Don't worry about that. You will. It's a repetition. It's a practicing. Just focus on 2 appointments, sitting down, a listing or a buyer, doesn't matter. Get good enough to do that. And by the way, once you get good enough to do that, you now have the skill to teach somebody else how to do it, which means the moment you can do that consistently, you're now ready to start formulating the vision of your team. Because if you can do it, you can teach it. And if you can do it, other people will want to learn that skill from you, because 8 appointments a month for many people seems like a mountain to climb. You want to double your business, you restructure your schedule, you should be prospecting. For me, I would get to the place where, like, my best month ever was 19 appointments. 19 appointments that I took in 1 month. That was my best ever. I was averaging like 14 when I was like inconsistent. And I could do that in about an hour and a half of prospecting a day, sometimes less. Some days it take me an hour, some days it would take me 3. And it wasn't for me, it wasn't one of the things that really helped me, and it was painful at first, right? Just like when we go to the gym for the first time, just when we start a new diet for the first time, it's painful in the beginning. I made a rule. I could not go home until I got my appointment for the day. I could not go home. And there were times I had to prospect till 6:45 at night. And my family was missing me. But that pain and that level of accountability made me figure out how to get there. Because once we decide something, right? Once we decide something, the world and the universe starts to open it up for us. Okay. We're going to restructure our schedule. We're going to block our private time. We're going to block our prospecting time. We're going to block our prospecting time. And by the way, you're going to get distractions, because guess what? It's almost like everybody knows the rule, right? You want to sell a lot of homes, schedule more vacations. Everybody knows that rule in real estate. You want to sell more homes, schedule a vacation. I used to make the joke, next year I'm scheduling 52 vacations. I'm going to sell 52 homes while out and about. The moment you say I'm not going to interrupt my time, guess what happens? Client says, I need to meet you at 8 a.m. tomorrow. Yep, you always get busy as soon as you plan a vacation. Always drives me nuts. That might be a contributing factor why I decided to build offices. I was like, I swear to you, one more person calls me to buy a home right when I'm about to go on vacation. Anyway, but here's the thing. Here's what'll happen. You'll say, all right, I'm prospecting at this time. And then a client will say, hey, I talked about it earlier. It's the easiest time to protect that 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Client might say, hey, let's meet here for coffee or something. And I literally would tell clients, I could do 6:45 or I could do 10:30. I'm busy from that time. I got appointments already. Well, Josh, you're lying to them. You don't have appointments. Yes, I do. I have appointments with my future. One client, and by the way, I say this in my masterminds and stuff. Sometimes people are like, sorry, I'm late. Like I was working on that with his agent one time. I was working on this skill set. No joke. A skill set that I've made $1 million in gross commission over my career from. And he's like, sorry, man, I had this appointment to take. I'm late. I was like, oh, was it a deal to earn $1 million in GCI? And he's like, no, it's a $400,000 home. I was like, wow, so you traded the opportunity to make $1 million for $8,000 after your split? And that sounds weird, right? And I did it to set an example of, once you get to that 8 appointments and once you make the commitment to get there, if you protect that time, I promise you, the moment you're all in on that time, whatever that time is for you, the moment you're all in on that time and you say, I'm not going to change I'm not going to break that rule for anybody, guess what happens? Your tone changes. You sound more like an authority figure. You start saying it with more confidence because you're like, sorry, I can't. Right? So for example, and I hate when people do this, but it does illustrate a point, right? They're like,
if you had to get an appointment, if the only way to save your wife today was to get an appointment, you would find a way to get that appointment, right? I was like, well, yeah, but my wife isn't gonna die if I don't get an appointment. But the point of it is this, is that it illustrates the point that like when people say, hey, Josh, can you meet at 8? And I'm like, well, you end up just bending because you gave the window of opportunity. But when people say to me, right, somebody, with my appointments, I've done this so long now that people say, hey Josh, can you meet at 12? Oof, I wish. No, I'm slammed from 11 to 1. There's zero chance. I don't even apologize. I'm like, there's zero chance I can make that. Let me ask you this. Are you available here, here, here? Well, no, none of those times work. Okay. Well, what about this time, Josh? Nope, that's booked. Like, let's find a place that works, but valuable people are not ready. When I was prospecting with cancel and expireds, if somebody were to say, oh yeah, I'll meet you right now, I would never say, okay. I'd say, oh no, I'm booked right now. But you're on the phone with me. Now I have to prep. By the time I get there, traffic, I have another meeting. I cannot do that. And they're like, what if you miss out on the opportunity? If they're only willing to meet with me with no preparation to come over, they're not that serious. And if I'm the one willing to be like, okay, I'll stop my whole business world, then it's going to say to them that I need them and they're not going to let me do my listing process. They're not going to want to pay me what I'm worth. They're, like more often than not, right? So it's like, well, Josh, what happens if somebody wants to set an appointment there? If somebody wants to break my time block, I make them work for it really bad. Like really bad. Like it better be the only time that works, and it better be urgent. There better be a legitimate reason why I need to move something or tell because if I'm going to move my time, I either got to tell my mentor, my wife, my kids, my agents, my leaders. I gotta disappoint somebody to move that. So I'm not gonna just be like, oh, that works best for you. Okay, I'll be there. Okay, restructure your schedule and hold it down. Hold it down when people ask you to change it. Okay, the second thing we got to do is you got to get clarity on what you want, and you got to write down what you want. Okay, there's a 135 that is a document. What's the one thing you want to accomplish? What's one thing you want to accomplish? What are the three areas? What are the three pillars that you're going to use to accomplish it? What are the 5 strategies? You can literally Google 135. You can literally Google 135. The reason why clarity is really important is because it helps you make hard choices simple. So for example, I know what my 135 is. I know what my goals are. I know what my income goals are. I know what all that stuff is. So when somebody comes up to me and asks me to do something that's not going to help me get where I want to go, it's really easy for me to say no. You know how many people and I'm sure it'll get more and more as we go, but there's a lot of people that call me up with money making ideas. They're like, you know what, Josh, you're good at this. If you did this, you would make a killing. And it's kind of funny because most of the people that are offering me money making ideas don't have a lot of money, right? But if you don't say no to the things that are going to take you off track, if you don't know where you're going, then you're not gonna know what to say no to, or you're gonna get lost and confused. And clarity is really, really important because sometimes there's things that you need to focus on that don't apply to the others. So I'll give you an example. I was talking to somebody, she works with EXP, she's a recruiter, she's really, really awesome. She's doing a lot of content. And I said, what are your goals? And she goes, I want to make $30,000 a month in downline. I said, awesome. Is that the only goal? I said, what's up with your personal goal? She goes, well, I want to be out of production within 5 years, but I would like to do 100 sales in a year. And as somebody who's done 50 and somebody who knows a few people that do 100 sales a year, I'm like, you can't do both of those. You cannot build
Now, granted, there's a few people that'll prove me wrong, but even Kyle Whistle, who has all that MLM downline money, he wasn't in production. He was doing 25, 30 deals, right? But he wasn't focused on production. It just came to him. Dan Beer, he had a whole team. Like the guys that are really making the downline money, as a guy who literally tried to do, I mean, dude, it's hard to build a downline. It's hard to recruit. It's hard. It takes a lot of focus, right? And so sometimes we do that. Well, you know what? I want to build a team, but I also want to double my personal sales. I want to build a brokerage, but I want to get out of, but I want to double my personal sales. You know, I want to work half as much and travel more, but I also want to triple my sales. Okay, well, get really clear about, yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? But you got to break it down. So if you're in a position where you want to double your income this year and you want to triple your time off, that changes what you need to do. So for example, how do I double my income but take more time off? Well, then you're probably not focusing on personal sales because that's going to require you to work more. Well, what could you do? You could hire 5 recruiters to go out and hire you 50 agents. If that 50 agents would bring in double the income and you wouldn't have to work as much, you just have to train recruiters. Right? The strategy changes depending on what you want to do. And there's nothing wrong with Joe saying, hey, I'd love to triple my income and work a fraction of the time. There's nothing wrong with that, but you most certainly aren't going to be able, you know, like I want to sell 100 homes and I want to work less. Do you have a team? No. Okay, well, you're going to need to hire a team, right? But the clarity changes based on what you want. Ryan Finch asked me this. He goes, hey man, how do you make $1 million a month? I said, I don't know. You tell me. You're the guy. You're the guy that's mentoring me. He goes, do you think you could provide $1,000 worth of value to agents every month? I said, oh yeah, easy. $1,000 a month. I know bold coaches that work for 30 minutes a week asking people how many contacts they made, and they charge $1,000 a month. I most certainly could make $1,000 a month with agents. I've been hired as coaches many times, right? Make more, easy. He goes, do you think there's 1,000 agents in the country that could use your help? Yeah, there's 1,000,000 agents in the country. I could definitely get 1,000, right? Well, there's $1 million a month. So then if that was your goal and somebody called you and said, hey, do you want to take on a job that's going to require 20 hours and it's going to pay you $500? It'd be really easy to say that, right? Now I wouldn't want to take on any opportunities that wasn't going to pay me $12,000 a year. Otherwise, it's not going towards the goal. And people do that all the time with me, by the way, right? They're like, hey, can I pay you for a few months for coaching? No. Well, how much would it cost? A lot. I'd have to charge you $12,000. That's not my goal right now to make $1 million a month, but you're getting the point, right? Clarity. And here's what happens. I used to struggle with motivation. I'd set big goals, but I'd struggle with motivation. And so like my go-to thing for motivation was like, I'm gonna get juiced up on caffeine. I'm gonna listen to some type of music that makes me feel some type of way. And then I'm gonna go do the work, right? And I'm just gonna grind and grit and will through it. It was all external. It all led to burnout. And all of the things that I was searching for did not refuel me. When you have clarity, there you go. When you have clarity, you have a bigger purpose, a bigger why, which then makes you start to rethink the actions you're taking. And then when you start to rethink the actions you're taking, you start taking those actions, you start to get some new results, which is momentum. And when you get momentum, you can feel it. Can't always see it, but you can feel it. And when you can feel the momentum, the motivation comes. You know what's funny is like when I first hired Ryan, I would have been ecstatic to get 5 agents in a month when I first hired Ryan. We got 6 agents in the first 15 days.
I'm mocking us. Why we haven't done more yet. Right? Because I can feel what we're doing is working. I can feel what's going on. And I'm like, we could do more. We could get better. We could get better. And be like, man, you're working a lot. I'm like, we're having a lot of fun. But the motivation didn't come from me listening to music and like saying, man, I really want it. Came from clarity. 135. Yeah, I know, Joe. You've been implementing, bro. Here's the crazy thing about that. And this is the other thing I'll tell you. Here's the other thing I'll tell you, man, is like investing into what I'm telling you feels slow at first, right? It's like when you go to the gym, right? So you go to the gym, the first week you go to the gym, you might lose 3 pounds, right? If you're like, all right, I'm gonna diet, I'm gonna go to the gym, you lose 3 pounds. Well, then week 2, week 3, week 4, like it starts to like, you're not really recognizing, you're looking in the mirror. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I go work out really hard. I cut my diet and then I look for results. I look, am I losing it? Where's that belly fat? Where's that back fat? Is that going away? Why isn't that going away fast enough? Right? Like you're looking for the results. But 3 months later, you meet you don't feel like you're progressing. You don't feel like you're progressing sometimes. You don't feel like, then you meet somebody that hasn't seen you in 6 months. They're like, bro, what have you been doing? You're getting big, right? You're like, oh, thanks. Personal growth is the same way. I've been watching Joe for the last 5, 6 months, where he's taking things and he's implementing systems and it's buying back time. And what you're going to find is it's going to start to compound and it's going to start. So like one of my, Ryan Finch reached out to me. He's like, hey man, what would it take to build XYZ, a coaching product? And I'm like, 5 minutes. Like I've already got it. Like I've already been running it, working. Like it just compounds and compounds and compounds. Okay. And so, going from how do we double the business? First and foremost, we look at the schedule and we prioritize the most important activities. And realistically, now that I'm thinking about it, it's like number 1 is we get clear, we get the 135 going. Number 2 is we restructure the schedule so that it aligns. Joe's in this meeting because I canceled my other meeting because it was going to take way too much of my time. I hadn't made any money of it. I haven't even made money yet on that. The only money I made from doing 50-something webinars for franchise owners nationwide is John Sullivan is in my office. Not even yet, technically. I gotta go pay money to get John on board, right? And I gotta launch this and we're building, that's great. 50-something hours plus prep work, plus that. And I'm super grateful I met John. I'm super grateful he's in the world. I believe in what we're doing. But once Ideal Estate died, it was going to take me even more time to get it back going. And I was like, I'm not making any money. It's not part of the plan. I got to switch gears. I got to cut it out. And it was easy to cut it out because I'm clear on what I'm doing. It's still all up in the air. I've got 2 or 3, the Killer Woman, the who?
You posted it on social media. This woman with her small little team of like 4 or 5 people does like 30, 40 million a year, just joined with you.
No, that didn't come from that webinar.
Oh, I thought that one was sourced from there.
No. I've got 2 or 3 people that allegedly want to buy a franchise, but they also allegedly are busy right now. And I'm like, okay, you do you, boo.
Yeah, and I allegedly tell everybody else, even folks at my brokerage, that if you got any questions, just tap into Josh.
Yeah, that's great. See, I work for Joe. It's great. But with
Across the country too.
Yeah. Joe's out over here building team. I work for him. I don't even know it. It's great. And we joke around and we jest, but it's all good. But the point is that you get really clear about what you want to do. You map it out, and then you got to focus on the leads. Okay, this is the third piece where there's this book by Alex Hormozi. And it talks about leads are your get out of jail free card, right? And it's a multiple part series book. It's some of the most simple training and coaching out there. I'm rereading it again because I want to get even better at creating leads, and it's all about marketing. But the premise of the book is getting leads You can mess everything up, but if you're consistently bringing in leads, you're going to win. If you have an abundance of leads, it's going to you can mess up and still win, right? And so the cool thing about real estate is that the lead generation piece, you don't really have to be an expert in it. You don't have to be a master marketer. You know, if you want to buy cancel and expired, you can go to Espresso Agent, you can go to Vulcan 7, you can go buy that data. And Vulcan 7, like we were getting 600 leads. We have it now. We get 600 leads a month that you could call every day. Same thing with Espresso Agent. They're both about the same. And they got cheaper ones too, like RedX or Landvoice. I mean, you could literally go out and buy that. You know, Facebook lead generation. If you're using KV Core, if you're using Lofty, if you're using Sync, you can literally call that company up and say, I got $500, generate me some leads. If you wanted to get better quality leads, you could call up realtor.com and say, give me some leads. And they have leads that, you know, anywhere from 50 to 100 and something dollars per lead. You know, you got to get good at it, right? You got to learn how to convert them. But here's what I always say with leads, because it kind of cracks me up. Part of my battle with building, you know, agents up and stuff is a lot of them have some super negativity around leads. And I always ask this question: if leads don't work, then why do all the fastest growing teams on the Inman top 1,000 in the country, why do they all generate leads? Why do they all buy leads? If they don't work, why do the fastest, biggest, largest growing company have an abundance of leads? Sometimes agents remind me of my 11-year-old.
Theory on that.
Huh?
I have a theory on that.
A theory on that? What's your theory?
Because it's easier for brokerages as a whole to pay for leads than to teach individual agents how to go out and get them. It's more efficient.
Well, I like your theory. But the other thing is most real estate brokerages don't know actually how to teach them how to generate their own leads.
Agree. Don't disagree on that.
It's not only easier, it's not only more efficient for them, but it also will expose them.
Yep.
Worst nightmare ever. Brokerage owner offers a free how to generate your own leads course, and in the front row is Josh Pono. And don't get me wrong, there's some, but again, you go back to the fastest growing brokerages in the country, you go back to the ones that are really recruiting at a high level. We know how to teach agents how to generate leads. We know how to do it. And there's a lot of guys out there and gals out there and people out there that are doing a great job. So I don't want to generalize that, you know, nobody else or any of that stuff. There's a lot of good people out there, but yeah, 7 days a game. But when it comes to the lead gen, it doesn't matter. You know, there's cancel and expires, there's for sale by owner, there's open house, there's door knocking. See it, Tony. There's internet leads, realtor.com leads. And they all basically, they all essentially break down into a couple categories. One of them short-term money and long-term money. When you're looking at leads, mentor of mine taught me when I worked at Agent Jet, it was a startup software company. They wanted to compete with Boomtown, be the latest and greatest. I was their first employee that built out the sales team. And he was a real estate agent. Name is Eric Pointer, phenomenal real estate agent in Ann Arbor, Michigan. He's retired now. Now, if you go online and check him out, he's the self-quoted tech Sherpa of the real estate industry, and he just does a lot of consulting and all this kind of stuff. But Eric had a team, 3-4 members, 90 deals a year, autopilot, didn't do anything. He had mastered the game of lead generation to the point where he got referral only, and then he just kind of sailed into the sunset and built software and stuff. But he used to say all the time, if you want to grow your business, you go get leads. And if you want to get leads, you put yourself in a target-rich environment where the majority of the people you're talking to are interested in buying or selling a home. You want to be in a target-rich environment. So for example, door knocking, is that a target-rich environment? No. Why? Most of those people don't want to buy or sell. They own a home. They don't want to buy a home. Now, does it work? For sure. But it's the people that dominate door knocking are the people that door knock the same neighborhood for 4 years. And nobody will ever use anybody else because nobody can ever convince anyone in that neighborhood that they're a harder worker than John, who stops by on Christmas Eve and gives them marshmallow cups every year for the last 4 years. Nobody can convince them that John cares more because he door knocks when it snows in February, right? Like that's how you dominate a neighborhood, but that takes a long time. How many people are flash in the pan, come and go, and most of the people aren't even there. Okay. Open houses. Is that a target rich environment? Absolutely. Absolutely. And here's why. There are people that are getting now, a target rich environment doesn't mean everybody's a good buyer. Doesn't mean it means that everybody you're conversing with has a level of interest and some factor for the most part. Right. Of course, there's always the one anomaly, like from I Love You, Man, that movie with Jason something where he goes there just to eat the sandwiches, right? Like there's always the one-off guy that isn't, but if somebody's going into an open house, they got in the car, they paid $5 a gallon in California, right? They went out, they drove, they spent time, they have some level of interest of buying. And a lot of them are looking to buy very, very soon. That's an activity of high interest, and everybody you're talking to. Cancel expired. Target rich environment. Everybody was just a seller. You go and door knock a neighborhood, you door knock 100 homes, 3 of them are have any interest in selling. You call 100 canceling expires, all of them had an interest yesterday of selling. And if you had a buyer, they'd sell today probably. Most of them. Internet leads. Internet leads, high target rich environment. Everybody you're talking to, right? Why is that important, Josh? Well, if you're going to go out and give somebody a sales pitch, how many of your sales pitches do you want to give that even if you're flawless, have 0 chance of success? None. Like if I'm going to get up and get motivated and go out and do the show and put the shirt on and get dressed and go out and I'm going to practice my script and I'm going to deliver this amazing sales pitch, that would be like going up to a vegan and give them the most amazing sales pitch for a Ruth Chris steakhouse. It's a waste of time. Now, Josh, isn't there value in doing long-term? Sure, there is. But if I need to make money, if I want to grow my business this year, if I want to double my business this year, I'm not picking door knocking and social media. I'm not picking door knocking and YouTube organic leads. Those ones take years to develop. If I'm trying to make money right now, I'm like if I was on the verge of being super broke, like I'm about to run out of money, I'm taking my unsecured credit card and I'm running it up with internet leads from realtor.com and I am just calling every lead 7 times in the first 7 days. I'm calling expires. Divorce is not as high of a target rich environment as expired, but it's up there. It's way better than door knocking. Probate's a target rich environment because oftentimes there's real estate involved. Somebody, right? There's some sort of something. There's no probate without property. Homeless people die. There's no probate. So there's something there, but it's also a long process, right? And so it goes back to long-term, short-term, target-rich environment, not target-rich environment. We've got 135, clarity. We've got new schedule and commitment. We've got additional leads. And the last piece, that's kind of a bonus piece, is grit and tenacity.
one of the things that dating and growing a business have in common, nice guys finish last. Being a sociopath is not the solution, but being nice and expecting people to just reciprocate your kindness in the form of additional sales is not a winning recipe. I view tenacity and grit as like somebody that's going to go out and work the process. So what do I mean by that? If you're going to double your business, guess what's also going to double? So if you're going to double your business, that means you're going to get double the yeses. Guess what you're also going to get more of? No's. You better have some grit. Because if you're struggling with the rejection you get now and you really want to double your business, saddle up. We get told more no's now than we ever had before. By far. It's not even close. We like those people too, because they give us strategy sessions that make us grow.
And there are reasons for no or soft.
There are soft reasons for no. But the point is, you know, like we've asked Joe to join our brokerage numerous times, but he's like, no, I live in Virginia, you know?
No, it's because the folks that are with first class out here use plastic
Let me get
signs.
their
They want
sign.
words on
Yeah,
metal.
Joe's judging my brokerage based on the sign selection choices from people in another country, other side of the country. I'm just kidding.
It's like going to the Dollar General.
I've never asked Joe to join our brokerage, but I'm just joking because he really has a pet peeve with the signs, and we like to have fun. But the reality is it's like it's so fascinating to me how we decide we're going to launch a business. We decide we're going to be business owners. We decide we're going to be entrepreneurs. We decide we're going to stake our claim in the world. And I know you guys are already in a different category, but I think all of us go through this season in time where we want to go out and get stuff, but we still have this little fear, this little voice we got to overcome. And one of the things we're doing next week, I'm really excited about this topic. What cool subject line did we come up with? It sounds way cooler than I'm about to freestyle.
Let me grab it.
It was like how to get more clients without being pushy.
How to get clients without being pushy.
How to get more clients without being pushy. Because there's this big negative connotation around being pushy as a salesperson. We've all been around a negative, pushy, aggressive salesperson, and it psychologically is uncomfortable as an experience. And so we all carry some sort of trauma around a really bad sales experience. You know, we've made bad decisions, which makes us embarrassed, you know, subconsciously. I can't believe he got me. You know, we've all been, you know, gotten. And so, you know, and there's definitely some stigmas around it. And so we tread around that fear at some level or at some point in our career where we don't want to be tenacious and, you know, go after telling people. But, you know, tenacity and grit to me means you're willing to ask for the order. You're willing to ask people to work with you, and you're willing to do it at 2 or 3 times the higher rate. Now, here's what sometimes people do. They go, you know what? They get themselves all psyched up. They're like, I'm going to do it, Josh. I'm going to go ask for more orders. And they go out and they ask for somebody to work with them, and they get a high level of rejection. They happen to ask the wrong person, and they just give them some sort of backlash, and they're like, ooh, that didn't work. I can assure you that anytime I've ever had somebody get a horrible sales call or a horrible negative reaction, it's because their skill, their technique, and the value that they were talking about was off. It is extremely rare. I mean, we make hundreds and hundreds of phone calls a month. We ask a bunch of people to join the brokerage. I mean, in 7 months, we've had one person say, two people say, I don't like your approach.
One of them is going through a very, for privacy, I won't bring it up, but a very traumatic, like, holy smokes, like she's in a super, super fragile space. And we actually didn't do anything aggressive at all. She just lashed out on us. And it wasn't even a lash out. It was like a sharp Facebook message. Like it wasn't even anything. It was just like, I don't like your approach. And another person,
Which was like the first week. I
which one
was
are you
calling.
talking about?
That was like the first week I was calling, and I just was trying to ask more questions.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know what I was doing.
And he was doing something at a low skill level because he was like trying to figure out the process, and he was just like wanting to keep him on the phone and not give up and show he's got, but he was going through it and it was like, great, let's go ahead and train on that, coach on that, fix on that, and move forward. But here's what I've learned. Motivated and qualified people respect business owners that are motivated and qualified. Say that again. Motivated and qualified people typically respect or want to work with motivated and qualified business owners. I have literally trained people. I did a listing presentation one time with one of my agents. He had a challenge with asking for the order. I literally looked at the client. I said, hey, listen, I think I could sell this house, no problem whatsoever. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to secure this listing and work with you. What can I do to win your business? Ended up getting the sale, getting the listing, getting the deal. I've literally told agents, what do I got to eliminate in front of you to get you on board? What do I got to do to help you get going on your goals? I want to work with you. I think we'd be a great fit. We should work together. All the time. I say it all the time. We had an agent that said he's going to join the office, didn't join the office. You know what? I'm going to show you something real quick. I'm going to walk you through something. Here's an agent inside of my market. He does 40 something deals a year. I got a hint that he's checking out EXP. I got a hint that he's checking out EXP. I've known him for about a year and a half. He's been on my radar. He's at a brokerage that, so I get this hint. And so I literally send him well, first off, I just sent him a text. Wednesday, December 11th, 9:34 a.m. Somebody told me that is a friend of mine said, hey, guess what? This guy's looking for a new place. Heads up. I sent him a text. What's up, man? I just showed an EXP team how to save $100,000 a year and open up more revenue streams. I just opened up my own escrow company. We doubled in size this year, triple next year. Can we chat about how to grow and scale your business? And he comes back and says, that sounds great, man. I actually just bought into my own escrow company as well. Got it all set up. Sorry, I was just double checking something. Got it all set up this year. So he doesn't even say, like, yeah, I'm 100%. He's like, oh, that sounds great. He could have been saying, that sounds great about my business, my growth. And so I just literally started going for the appointment. I said, all right, let's go. Do you want to come into the office in Mission Valley in person? Better set up than a Zoom. He ignores me. He doesn't say anything. 30 hours later, I text him, next week in person visit, ? He doesn't respond. An hour later, I have time this week too, depending on what you want. The following day, another day, doesn't respond. I literally send him a period. Just a period. Ding, still waiting. Sends me a text back. Sorry, bro. Laid up in bed sick yesterday with stomach bug. Playing catch up. I said, it's going around. He doesn't respond. 3 days later, no response. I sent him a message at Saturday at 6:57 a.m. Morning, what's your schedule like today for a call? He responds an hour and a half later. It's all over, man. And by the way, I'm also calling him.
When he does respond, I call him and he doesn't answer. So then I text him. He said, all over, man. It's gonna have to be next week. I just opened like one escrow a day for a week straight last week. Laughing emoji. I'm getting caught up from being out. I text him back. That's what I'm talking about. How many deals are you going to end up with this year? How many on your team? What's the structure currently? Please tell me you aren't fixing walls at listings anymore. I was in a deal with him a year ago and there was a VA issue with the drywall and he literally went there at like 9:30 at night and fixed the drywall to get the deal done. So I was like, I hope you're not still fixing drywall, right? He said probably closer to 40 if all these go to plan. Yeah, I'm not cutting doorways in anymore. Following day, what's your call like for, like I literally called him, no answer. What's your call like for, what's your schedule like this week for a call? No answer. 2 days later, I sent him another message. Morning, free for a call. He doesn't even say yes or no. He just goes, I wish, laughing emoji. He's just brushing me off, right? 2 days later, call him again. This time his voicemail's full. So I put, ha 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 ha. Oh, you know the man is busy when his voicemail's full. That or he's drinking whiskey. Whiskey emoji. No response. None. At all. Call him on Friday. Doesn't pick up. I leave, and by the way, I leave him little funny voicemails when it's available. He said, call you right back. I respond immediately. Yes, sir. So when I do get him to engage, he's not telling me kick rocks. He's not telling me go away. He's still engaging with me. He's not getting offended. So I'm like, until I get told, no response. Saturday, I text him because he never called me back, by the way. He said, can I call you back? I said, yes, sir. He never calls me back. So Saturday, I sent him a message that said, they say connection rate goes up 70% after 70 contact attempts. We shall see. And then I call him. And I leave him a voicemail that says, no, he doesn't pick up. So then I text him right back after I just called him. He didn't pick up. I said, attempt 6. You sent me straight to voicemail. I'm so excited for the next one. It's the big one to find out whether or not these statistics are accurate. He doesn't respond. He ignores me. 2 days later. Now at this point, right? Now it's been so long since I hit him up with the follow-up, with the actual initial value prop that he's probably forgot. So I got to get back into, hey man, what's in it for you? Why am I following up? I'm not just calling you to annoy you. You told me you wanted the best home at the best price on your preferred timeline. You said you were going to meet with me and now you're acting up. I want to remind you of why I'm being this tenacious. So I sent him a text Monday morning, 6:25 a.m. Now, by the way, just so you guys know, I know this guy. He knows I'm a hard worker. I know he's a hard worker. And so normally I don't text people, before business hours. But I also let people know, yeah, I'm freaking working. Like I'm on this. I'm after it. So I text him, morning. Rumor has it that you're open to ideas about where to go next. That's why I'm following up so often. AKA, I know you're trying to make a decision. You need to at least look at us. That's why I'm following up so often. I made a Facebook post today that directly applies to you. If you don't take a look at what I've built and how it directly applies to you, you're leaving a bunch of money on the table based on EXP, Real, LPT, or anyone else. Let me know if you have any interest in evaluating the offer. If you've already decided and already made a decision, next time, all good. Happy Monday. 2 hours later, he calls me and says, I pick up the phone. He goes, is this the Josh Pono? I said, allegedly. And then we had a conversation and I set an appointment with him to come into the office. I said, bro, I got a brand new glass whiteboard that's just burning up my hand. We got to get in here. We got a vision board your whole life, bro. We are making millions of dollars and I got a vision board just waiting for you. Let's go. The point is this, right? We're having fun. I'm showcasing a little bit of what I mean by tenacity. There was a chance at any moment he was going to say, dude, I've already made my decision. Dude, I'm not moving forward. Well, there was a chance that I may have rubbed him the wrong way. Yes or no? 100%. 100% there was a chance. But what I wasn't going to do is I wasn't going to come up with all these reasons on why he wasn't gonna like me. And then call him up one day or see a Facebook post from him a month from now that says, hey, I just made a move.
Right.
Because I truly have a value prop that I know can benefit him. And when he talks to me, he's going to regret buying into the escrow company the way he wanted to. Because I could actually have given him more money to help build our escrow company with less out of pocket. With less red tape, with less all kinds of stuff, 100% legal, 100% compliant. And the point goes back to this. When you're clear about what you want to do, when you're actively going after it and building value with people, when you're a good real estate agent, I just think of it this way. Some of these buyers, some of these sellers, they end up hiring the wrong person. And they end up having horrendous experiences. And so I view them, or I view agents, is, hey, they're drowning, they're suffering. They're not hitting their goals, they're not doing this, they're not doing that. And I see them drowning. And I look at them, and they've got a rock tied to their foot, and they're trying to like battle. They're trying to battle. I got a pair of scissors. And if I say, hey, you want me to cut that rock off your foot? Like, I got these scissors. They're like, nah, I'm fine. I'm like, I don't know, man. It looks like you're drowning, and I got scissors, and there's a rope. I'm going to at least jump in and cut the rope. And if I nick them and they want to yell at me while they're alive that I accidentally cut them in my attempt to help them, I'm going to be strong enough to go, I believe what you're trying to say is thank you. Right? And so I'm not afraid to go out and do that. And worst case scenario, he's like, dude, I'm going to go do my own thing. Don't call me anymore. Hey, no worries. Thanks for letting me know how you feel. I appreciate that. I respect and support you. On to the next. Get clear about what you want to do. Schedule and prioritize it. Get more leads. And go be tenacious and go after the business. Let people know you care. Sometimes when people, I'll end on this. Sometimes when people do that, like, well, I just don't want them to think I'm pushy. You know what? There's a lot of people that are sitting on the other side being like, they don't care enough. If all you're going to do is call one time, leave one voicemail, they're going to assume you're too busy. They're going to assume you forgot about them. They're going to assume that you got no follow-up process. They're going to assume that you're not a hard worker. Because when you're tenacious like that, people go, he must have a lot of value. Because anybody willing to annoy me to sit down must be confident in what they're doing, because nobody does that. And then I'm like, guess what, bro? My splits are $2 million a year. It's 90-10. You keep 10%, I keep 90. Let's go. Nobody does that, right? Nobody that has a crappy product drives hard to get you to look at it. They're like, I'm tired of it being crappy. Everybody tells me it's crappy. I don't even care if you look at it, right? You got a bad product. You typically have a negative attitude. You got a great attitude. People know. And here's the best part about all this. If you are clear about what you're doing and you're getting more activities done and you get more leads and you're being tenacious, you can't lose. You may not double it, because your skill set may not be there, but you most certainly will speed up the acceleration. You most certainly will sell more homes than you're selling now, and you most certainly will have a chance to hit your goal in year 2. But that's it. Get clear, schedule it, get more leads, and get tenacious. See you guys. Have a phenomenal day.